Hello, and welcome to Drag Race Rejudged, where today I will be talking about Drag Race's fake, manufactured underdogs. Before I get into the video, I'm going to define what that actually means. A mistreated queen is a queen who is actively doing well in a challenge, but production is trying to make us think that she is doing badly. Aja on All Stars 3 is a great example of this. She had a win and 2 bottoms, when in reality she should have had at least 2 wins and maybe 1 bottom at most. With that in mind, a fake underdog is a queen who is doing really well on their season, if not great, but production wants us to think that she is only doing, like, good/fine. The main qualifier here is that production does not want us to think they are doing badly, just not as well as other queens around them. They do this to either manufacture an underdog storyline or to make other queens look more successful. Not all of these queens necessarily get an underdog storyline, but production deliberately tries to make them shine less brightly for some reason or another. This video is partially about underdog edits and partially about being in the underdog position. Starting us off, we have Mo Hart on All Stars 4. I don't think that production disliked Mo at all, but regardless, she kept getting placed in increasingly stupid situations that caused her to have a much weaker track record than she deserved and positioned her as a second or third place underdog going into the finale. I will give credit to production for the creativity it took to put Mo in the bottom for girl groups. I would not have thought of that. I've always had the opinion that performance looks can be taken into account when there is a close race or a tie. This was not a close race or a tie. Based on challenge performances, Farrah, Manila, and Gia were all clearly worse than Mo, and if I'm gonna go even further, Mo was honestly above Trinity for me, putting her as a clear 5th out of 9. While I don't love this arc, at least Tatiana, India, Yara, and Kahana's win to bottom storylines made a bit of sense. The next random bottom placement given to Mo was in the roast. She was a clear 3rd in the challenge and was infinitely closer to Manila and Monet than to the next worst queen. I think in this case, she was a victim of circumstance since production wanted to set up for the Lollapalooza, but it genuinely did not have to be this way. A better option production could have gone with would be putting Mo as high in the roast and picking a low queen, then saying that for the Lollapalooza, everyone who didn't win the challenge has to lip sync regardless of who is in the bottom. Another option they could have gone with would be having Mo as high, picking a low queen, and just letting Valentina go. Monet wins the lip sync, sending her home, and we get a 5v5 Lollapalooza. Instead of just getting blanket immunity, the winners of the roast still have to fight, but with the advantage that they get to pick their songs/opponents. Swapping out these bottom placements has no major impact on the episode-by-episode results of the season, but it puts Mo Hart as a frontrunner going into the finale alongside Trinity. With all of this in mind, I'm gonna give Mo Hart massive credit for being one of the only queens to ever make it to the end of an elimination season without a single truly bad performance. Moving on, we have Yvie Oddly on Season 11. Looking at track records going into the finale, Brooke was the clear frontrunner with 3 wins and 2 bottoms, then Akira, Silky, and Yvie were all underdogs with 2 wins, 2 bottoms, 2 wins, 1 bottom, and 1 win, 1 bottom respectively. While in the end, Yvie did still win the season and everything worked out, call me crazy, but Yvie should not have been the clear underdog going into the finale. In the design challenge, Yvie's look was amazing and absolutely should have won over Plastiques. It incorporated the materials really well, it was the most colorful, which is a huge benefit considering the materials they were working with, and she completely sold me with the runway presentation. I don't really think production intended on making Yvie an underdog here, but they were clearly willing to make her look less strong to push a storyline for Plastique. The next big issue with Yvie's judging is in the makeover. I might be completely delusional, but while there were definitely some issues with her looks, the final product was really unique and presented well. I think this episode was an attempt at recreating the We Hate Jinx Club moment from Season 5. The who should go home question should have been in the previous week after the magic show where there actually were several people who struggled. Having an unnecessary low placement and a more negative storyline with Yvie right before the end works from an underdog storyline perspective if you let her swing back, but production did not do that. That brings us to the third bad judging choice. Yvie deserved to win the remix. Hands down, I don't know if they ran out of prize money or just really wanted to make her look like the underdog, but this is easily in the top 5 most deserving non-winning challenge performances. I will fully acknowledge that Yvie should have been just safe for the ball and low for the magic show, but that is really where the preferential treatment ends. Going into the finale, she should have had 3 wins and a bottom, and the finale should have been framed as the 2 lip-sync assassins fighting it out, not Brooke the frontrunner versus Yvie the underdog. Moving on, All-Stars 2 was a generally fair season, all things considered. There were some issues with the judging here and there, but one person took the brunt of the mistreatment: Katya. I am not a die-hard Katya was robbed person, but I don't care what anyone says. She did exactly what was asked of her in the Rusical. She just had a terrible part. If production had had the queens pick their own characters, it would have been one thing, but there were so many historical characters they could have given Katya that would have allowed her a chance at being safe. I have nothing to say about this role that hasn't already been said, so I'm gonna list a few options that would have had more comedic potential than Princess Diana. If you want to go mid-1900s, someone like Joan Crawford, Eleanor Roosevelt, or Amelia Earhart would be a good option. If you want to go with someone from the late 1900s, someone like Margaret Thatcher could be really funny. Or if production wanted to do something really recent for 2016, I think having Katya do someone like Sarah Palin or Hillary Clinton would be really funny. Then for the acting challenge, she was good. I get that Detox was stronger, but there was absolutely no reason for Katya to end up in the bottom 3 in danger of going home based on that performance. There was a clear bottom 2 of Alyssa and Roxy, so my theory is that production knew the Jeremy-Alyssa storyline was about to wrap up and wanted to set themselves up for the option of a Alaskatox versus a lovable weirdo arc. In the end, I completely agree with Alaska winning the season, but there is no reason Katya needed to be sandbagged and turned into an underdog for that to happen. Let Alaska win off her own merits, and let Katya dress up like Margaret Thatcher and sing a song. For this next entry, production was so close to getting it right, but while the win distribution was good, the specific challenges won by Season 15's finalists were not great. Sasha Colby rightfully deserves the top slot as frontrunner, but I'm gonna walk through what production could have done to make Sasha look stronger while giving the 2 underdogs who I believe are Lux and Mistress their flowers. Number 1, Sasha. She should keep her wins in the Heaven infomercials and remix challenges. They should give her the win for girl groups, and then keep her as being just high for the ball and 50-50 interviews. She still ends up with 3 wins, a bunch of high placements, no bottoms, and no longer has any controversial challenge wins. Number 2, Anitra. Keep everything exactly the same. She gets 3 wins in the talent show Rusical and Makeover, and then bottoms in the comedy challenge and remix. Number 3 is Lux. Give her the win for the 50-50 interviews, and then a bottom by default for the Rusical. Now she goes into the finale with 3 wins and 2 bottoms. Number 4, Mistress. Give her the win for the ball, and then a bottom in the 50-50 interviews. She has 2 wins and 2 bottoms. With this new win distribution, Sasha maintains the status of frontrunner and wins the season, but Lux and Mistress get more moments to shine and are no longer the clear underdogs going into the finale. Moving on, we have Jaida Essence Hall on Season 12. There's a chance I am being completely delusional, but hear me out. In the original edit, I think Jaida was likely getting the Chad Michael storyline of being the queen who is generally good at everything and rises above the drama, but ultimately loses because of the hero storyline of the season. While that does explain why Jaida was kind of cast to the side on a few occasions, given the edit of the season we saw, Jaida should have been a frontrunner going into the finale, not tied for 2nd out of 4. I love Gigi Good, and I know there's been a lot of controversy over her challenge wins, but her and Jaida were dead even for that ball. They both had amazing looks from home, and both ended up with the exact same minor critique with their final outfits. Jaida made her outfit entirely out of balls, but they were sewn onto a corset, while Gigi made a regular dress and just sewed a bunch of balls onto it. Both looks were absolutely amazing, but Season 11 and Season 13 both had double wins when 2 frontrunners ended up even in a challenge, so Jaida and Gigi getting a double win is not unrealistic and probably would have been deserved. Moving on, Jaida also should have been in the top for the Madonna Rusical over Crystal. She embodied her character, had a solid runway, and gave one of the most rewatchable performances of the night. I understand putting Crystal in the top for storyline/momentum reasons, but I strongly believe that if Jaida were central to production's season-long arc, they would have made room for her. There is definitely an argument for Crystal winning the makeover, but I honestly think this one comes down to personal taste in drag styles. All this said, the main thing that makes Jaida an underdog for me isn't just a lot of quote-unquote coincidences, it is the favoritism of the two people ahead of her. SP was comically favored, we all know this, and Gigi Good was safe from the bottom in the debate, and the bottom three in the makeover. Jaida and Gigi should have gone into the finale as equals fighting it out, rather than Jaida having to come from behind, and for me, that is what makes Jaida a fake underdog. Finishing us off on a really controversial note, we have Kylie on All-Star 6 and Trixie on All-Stars 3. Both queens are generally regarded as weaker/controversial winners, but I think they both did better than fans give them credit for, and production is mostly to blame for it. With Trixie, her story arc on the season was being middle of the road, bombing Snatch Game, and then finding her footing at the end. That works perfectly for her performances throughout the season, except for girl groups. Trixie did great in girl groups. Instead of giving her credit and continuing the redemption arc momentum though, the judges rip her to shreds for being too dry during rehearsals. If production had given her a deserved win or at least put her as high with the bottom two, she is going into the finale on roughly equal footing with BB and Shangela. Unfortunately, a combination of BB's momentum, Dela quitting, and production overextending her underdog story arc meant that she looked like a much weaker competitor on paper than she actually was. I know All-Stars 3 is not the best season, but like genuinely, go back and watch it. Trixie was good in a lot of challenges, and outside of Snatch Game, she really wasn't that bad. Then with Kylie, it is more the same. She was randomly thrown in the bottom for the Pink Table Talk challenge when she should have been safe and then given a questionable win so production could give her a redemption arc storyline. Had things been fair, production would have swapped wins with Ginger taking home the acting challenge and then Kylie taking home Snatch Game, instead of going into the finale with a questionable win and 3 bottoms in a distant 4th place. In this new timeline, Kylie is going in with a deserved win and 2 bottoms tied for 2nd/3rd, and I feel like her win would be generally less controversial.
Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then you should check out the RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged YouTube channel and hit subscribe.